So today I want to talk about Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "Let me sing of my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill." First of all, I want to point out that it repeats 3 times, my well-beloved, with repetition in Hebrew. This points out a theme, a main idea or motif. So it's speaking to my well-beloved in his vineyard. I think this points to what I'm going to talk about, which is the metaphor in a very fruitful hill. But I also think that it could be messianic. It could be pointing to the Christ in his vineyard, in the winepress, and kind of what he experiences with his people as he sees them rebelling and not being righteous. This chapter is somewhat similar to Jacob 5 in the Book of Mormon. Anyway, the metaphor in a very fruitful hill in Hebrew is be keren ben shamen, and keren is translated as hill, but literally means horn. So, as in the horn that you would see in the temple, that would be filled with oil to anoint. Samuel anoints King Solomon and King David from a horn of oil. Also, the horn is a symbol of strength. Hannah, in her prayer to God after she receives a child, talks about God exalting her horn. Also, other temple imagery, the horn is you see in Egyptian pictures of the horn on 4 corners of an altar. Talks about grasping the horn of the altar in the Bible. So the hill is Karen, the horn, and then Ben Shamen is so interesting because Shamen means oil. So again, the symbolism of the anointing of people of the covenant, of the priests in the temple. Ben here is, so shaman would be translated as fruitful. Okay, and ben is said is a phrase that can describe a characteristic. But ben literally, again in Hebrew, means child of or son of. It has a dash to make it an infinitive construct. So, son of the oil, right? Child of the oil. I think this gets overlooked because the literal translation, we know is not the metaphor itself, right? Usually, when you're being poetic, it's the metaphor that points to the symbolism or what is most important. But in this case, it's the literal translation, because metaphorically, they're talking about a vineyard, a fruitful hill. Fruitful hill can be a symbol of paradise, the Garden of Eden where God dwells. But the literal translation also is very telling and I think significant to what Isaiah is trying to point out here, that Isaiah's audience is not just the nation in general, um, but that he's talking specifically to children of the covenant. Um, and so, even though, so in English, when it says, you know, talking about um, the vineyard in a fruitful hill, um, read it as talking specifically to the horn of the children or the child of the oil. So those that have been anointed in the temple. And